that I'm not, the same as everyone else. And so like, the Asher physique is gonna be something different and like make that your strength. Like make being unique your strength. And like that's what's gonna make me stand out and like paving, getting to make this path, trailblaze it by myself. I feel like
This ain't no regular thing. I came for the ring, you know what I mean. I shoot my shot and it's clean. This for my city, yeah, this for my team. If you talking, it's how to be nice. I play with all of my life. You see my name in the lights. Better get right, I'm champion.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Coach Sam, and a lot of you will recognize Miss Emily and Mr. Asher from social media. And today I want them to kind of tell their story. As a lot of you maybe saw, it's been in my stories. Emily's posted on her page, it's been on Asher's page. Emily's been competing for a long time, and Asher, after turning 18 this year, did his first competition where they actually got to compete at the same show, which of course I love because I got to do the same thing with my daughter right after she turned 18. So it's such a special thing to be able to share that with your family. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited to share your story. So maybe Emily, I'll have you introduce yourself and just tell me a little bit or tell us a little bit about your background, like how you got into it and where it's taken you to this point.
Yeah, well, thank you. We're so happy to be doing this with you.
Mhm.
So I got into bodybuilding. Well, I'll back up. I got a business degree in college only because I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to do like 10 different things that didn't relate to each other. And I did go in the gym a little bit with my dad when I was growing up. So, but I was the only girl in there. And but I loved it. And then in college, when I was, I think, a junior and senior, I joined a gym down the street off campus. And I remember so vividly, there was this one woman who was super muscular, and I was just in awe of her. And I noticed she was like, oh, okay, so this was 96, 97.
Wait.
And she a really long time ago. And and so, back then we were like taking aerobics classes, but she was never in the aerobics classes. She was always over by the dumbbells. And I just thought she was the most beautiful thing, but she was with the guys and she was the only female over there. So I just knew that like there was something that I loved about muscle. And then I graduated from college. And one of my many jobs after I graduated from college, because I still didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, was working in a gym. And then I got my personal training certificate, and then I kind of got into Pilates and some other things. But I just was so happiest in the gym. But I really didn't know about bodybuilding competitions. And then there was a woman who was probably about 10 years older than me who looked like that one woman that I saw at the gym when I was in college. And I realized that she competed. So I figured out like who her coach was and how to do it. And so I did my very first bodybuilding competition in 2004 because I had this bucket list of things I wanted to do before having children. And that was one of them. And so it was just like strict female bodybuilding, like no one did their hair or makeup. There was just like put your hair in a ponytail and go out there and pose like the guys. And I loved it. And then I got pregnant with my daughter. So I kind of felt like, oh my gosh, that was of my bucket list of things I wanted to do before having children. That was one that really sparked my interest. And I was like, I think I want to do that again. So then after Ava, Asher was born almost 2 years later. And then when the kids were little, I just was like, I think I could probably pull this off again. So I can't remember what year my second competition was. At this point now, I've done 22. But in those
Crazy.
first but in those first few years, they were spread out. Like I would do a show and then it would take a year or two off. In the last few years, I've done, like a bulk of them. I'd have to look back, but like I've done probably 10 in the last 3 years or something like that. Um, but yeah, so there were few and far between, and over the years some judges would say, oh, you really should do figure, but I was so like, I am not going to put a pair of heels on. someone's gonna I actually remember telling my friend Anna, I was like, someone's gonna have to pay me $1 million to put a pair of heels on and walk across the stage. So I was like so committed to women's bodybuilding. But then just over the years, I all the divisions came about, and so I morphed into figure and really love it. That's just kind of the short story. And yeah, that's the short story of my
The
competition
abridged
life.
version. I think you actually told me that when we very first started, because you weren't competing in MPC when we first started working together. And you told me, I don't want to wear heels on stage. And I said, you know what? I feel that because I compete in women's physique. I totally understand not wanting to walk across the stage in heels. I get it. I get it.
And then it happened.
And then it happened. But it was because you were, what was it? IMBF. You were competing.
Well, I did a few, like that very first show that I did in 2004 was NGA.
Okay.
And then I probably did like another NGA. And then I did NPC, like kind of local in Idaho and Washington State. And then like sprinkled in, I figured out that there was WNBF, which is natural sanctioned bodybuilding. And those were like harder to get to because I had to travel farther for them. I had to go to a show in California that was and that was also in 2021. And actually those years of 2020, 2021, and even 22, those were crazy years because to prep when you kind of thought, oh my gosh, they could cancel this show. They could get
Yeah.
weird about it. Like I remember doing a show in Washington State where they required us to have masks backstage, and then we had to lay them down on a table, go out on stage. And then as soon as we went, yeah, yeah, we paid all this money for makeup. We had to put it on. And then we went off stage and then just picked a random mask to put on our face again. And I look back and I'm like, that was actually really ballsy to prep for a show knowing that they could cancel it because they're like, oh, whatever COVID stuff happened. And
Yeah.
now, you've worked 9 months for this, and now we're not going to have this show. So I can't believe I did so many those years, but those were, and then travel was really hard. But I just like, I guess this is how much I love it. I was willing to do it through those crazy years.
Through all the crazy,
But
yeah. 2020 and 2021 were super rough with it.
we're
And I
hard.
remember,
Yeah. Yeah. But what I wanted to say is that I did WNBF during that time
mm,
and some NPC shows because I like both for different reasons. And I did go, I got my pro card in WNBF in Las Vegas in 2021. I believe it was fall of 2021. But in that, every federation does things so differently, and that was really frustrating because had to you had to do another show within a year or you lose your pro status. And then I was like, well, I don't want to go super far to California anyway. It was just like a lot of logistics to stay
mm.
in that, and so I'm like, oh, whatever, I like NPC anyway, so
And now you're stuck with it. We're stuck in the NPC.
yes, yes, and I still love it. And I
Good.
and I just turned 50, but right after the show that Asher and I did in May. So now I'm in a whole new category. I'm in the
Yeah.
50 plus. I'm like, I better keep going.
There you
Which it's still, it always like every time, because I know that, but every time we talk about your age, I'm like, I cannot believe that you're 50. It doesn't
Oh,
make sense.
thanks.
No, it's seriously. I think anybody who sees you would be like, there's absolutely no way. There
That's
is no way.
very nice. Oh, so nice.
go.
Well, we're gonna come back. We're gonna come back to a lot of things. But Asher,
Mhm.
I want to hear a little bit about your wherever you want to start it, and like inspiration, or what was the reason that you decided that you were going to get on stage with your mom this year?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, should I start with like maybe condition stuff and
Yeah.
go
Yeah,
from there?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So, just a little bit about me. When I was born with a condition called TAR syndrome. So basically, I'm missing the radius bone in both of my arms, and I have low blood platelets. And there's also like a couple of other different genetic things that can come with it. Like for me specifically, I have like loose ligaments in my knees. Which I was born with bowed legs, and so I've had like leg surgeries and arm surgeries, and then also like ptosis in my eyes, right?
Yeah.
Ptosis.
Ptosis.
Um, which is basically I'm like missing or just really weak in the eyelid muscles. So I've had eye surgeries, and anyway, you know, I'm a little different than most people, but yeah. So I obviously, like how mom said, I grew up kind of immersed in the health and fitness world just because of that, and yeah, grew up watching my mom do bodybuilding and stuff, and um in our household, we've always had great, good organic foods and stuff, but
Mhm.
kind of as I got into the um late elementary, early middle school days, I started putting on some weight, and somehow I was like finding ways to develop like bad eating habits in like such a great household. Like I was, just kind of overeating carbs, under eating protein, and my mom, being as great as she is, she never forced anything on me. Like obviously it was like, like eat your veggies, stuff like this, but she wasn't gonna, you know, bring it to my attention and be like, you need to lose weight, like whatever. And so um basically, yeah, I was just kind of had developing not great eating habits, and then eventually, once I got to high school, that was kind of like a little bit of an awakening to me. I started joining sports, so I picked up swimming again and joined the tennis team. And kind of when I did that, I realized that whether it was because of like lack of athletic ability or because of, my size back then, I felt like I wasn't contributing to my team very well. And I felt like I had to make a change. And so I was like, I think I remember like one day I was like, Mom, like I want to go to the gym, I want to get healthy, whatever. Yeah. So then I don't know, I feel like I'm all over the
No,
place right now.
yeah.
Um, then I started with, I originally started with my mom's coworker, and he put me on a very like basic food plan, and slowly I kind of picked up things for myself, developed a love for the gym, and began kind of a maintenance phase, and then went into like a weight loss transformation, and just really fell in love with the gym, every aspect about it. And I ended up losing 60 pounds, which was pretty
Insane.
crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't even know he had 60 pounds.
Yeah,
No idea. No idea.
kind of crazy. And, through it all, just kind of like adapting and finding out what works for me. Like, I remember originally, like the first day I went into the gym, I have like a picture in my phone. I took like a Snapchat picture, and it was like, like today, like I was able to bench the 35-pound bar for the first time, and when I started benching, actually, I had to like augment it for my wrists and stuff, and like because there wasn't like any, like no one's really done this before, and so like I kind of had to adapt and figure things out for myself. So it's been like, a long time coming, a long journey. in that
And
sense.
maybe kind of explain how, because you said you explained that you're missing your radius bones, but like
Mhm.
how are your hands different and the angles and stuff?
Yeah, so with my condition, when I was born, my hand was attached 90 degrees turned in, so curved like, I don't know, like this.
Yeah, yeah.
And so
Like this.
basically, what they did, I think I was like one.
Mm-hmm.
The doctors uh took my hand and centralized it on the
Ulna.
ulna. And so I have like scars because they had to kind of move things around, move some skin around and stuff. But yeah, the attachment is just kind of interesting because it doesn't have the security that I think like regular anatomy does. So that's why wrist wraps and stuff like that helps me a lot, and like, bicep, like lots of arm movements I've learned to adapt
And
with.
because he doesn't have the radius, he doesn't have much of like flexion,
Right,
extension, and then
inflection.
the rotation
Yeah.
is that's all a function of it's actually really miraculous that he has thumbs because the thumb is attached onto to the radius somehow. They're like his syndrome is really, really rare. It's like, I don't know, 2 in a million or something like that.
Right.
And but then also his arms are about 3/4 length.
Mm-hmm.
So when I just wanted to I butt in
Yeah,
because
for sure. Go.
because we were, he wanted to go to the gym, but to pick up a dumbbell and curl it looks very different. And then to be on a fixed bar, because every teenage boy wants to bench. But he was like, and
Every
the
boy,
other
period.
thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is when they did the surgery, they didn't do both hands the same.
Mhm.
So again, to be on a fixed bar is really extreme for him because
Hmm.
he doesn't have that rotation. Anyway.
Right. Um,
So there's a lot of learning.
yeah, lots of learning went into it for sure. And yeah, like when I was born, the doctors didn't know if I'd even be able to pick up a pencil,
Yeah.
and now I'm like throwing some free weight around.
And they called you low muscle tone
Mhm.
because they said that was part of your syndrome and that you were a failure to thrive, which I know they say that to a lot of babies, but
Mhm.
or say that to a lot of families that's just a term, but it's like the worst term ever,
A
failure to
terrible
thrive.
term. Terrible term.
So,
Okay.
but yeah, so
Yeah.
the odds.
Yeah, literally. Um, yeah, and so where were we? Weight loss transformation, discovering things for me in the gym. Yeah, just playing around, figuring things out, finding what works. And yeah, so I really just kind of fell in love with the gym. It became like a everyday thing for me. Getting into nutrition, stuff like that. And yeah, so after I was pretty deep into the weight loss transformation, like down 60 pounds, I got kind of to a dan dangerous point-ish. I felt like I was like obsessing over the scale. I kind of like I didn't even realize it, but I had actually like lost track. Like if that makes sense. Like I think I just developed a habit of just eating like the bare minimum. And like, I didn't even realize it. But then something like sparked in me where I was like, Mom, like I wanna I wanna prep for a show. And so
Well, and by the way, he really did this pure grit
mhm,
and not even asking me a lot of questions. Like he just it's like you decided one day that,
yeah,
like you said, you wanted to be part of the team. You thought you were kind of dragging the team down. You wanted to be different.
right.
And didn't you tell me that you saw other
Yeah.
teen boys on Instagram that were in the gym
Mhm,
and you were like that's what I want to do.
yeah.
And so I wanted to share that because sometimes it's like, how do people like do they have a moment where they're like, this is what I'm going to do? Or is it kind of a long journey? And it was almost like a switch flipped in you
Flipped,
and
yeah.
and you didn't deviate.
Yeah.
But then he did get very I mean, would you say thin
Thinner,
or
yeah.
yeah, before he figured out that muscle was really important.
Yeah, I think I kept I kept believing that the more weight I lost, like the better I'd look, or like, like I was thinking that like, more muscle would somehow like show up the more I lost or whatever, but um yeah, so I something in me knew that like a change needed to happen, finally like realizing how like depleted I was. And so yeah, so acted me with a coach and like a team she had previously worked with out of Boise.
It's just a couple hours
And
away so that he could actually see this person and
mhm.
Yeah.
do some workouts together.
Yeah. And so then I started kind of an off-season phase. I bulked for a while and then went through full prep, and yeah, it was like definitely a journey, but doing it with mom was really great, and having someone like multiple different perspectives like guiding me was really great.
And telling you that
Um,
everything you were feeling was
was normal. Like, why am I craving this? Yeah. No, but um yeah, so I went through prep and that was great. And honestly, I feel like um, a lot of people ask me why a bodybuilding show? And I feel like it was always kind of in me, like, growing up going to these shows, watching mom on stage, watching like the guys go before her, like there was always something that fascinated me about it. And I actually like used to draw like pictures like way back when I was like young. I used to draw
On the
like
church bulletin on Sunday mornings, he'd be
Oh
like
my gosh.
doodling
yeah,
the biceps.
I have like a picture of like me on stage, and the actual like the announcer guy that announced at the Muscle Classic was like in the picture, and he was like there's like a little speech bubble that was like Asher Knowles like first place like whatever, so even like back then when I wasn't even going to the gym or into fitness at all, like there was part of me that like wanted to do it. So I don't know. I just feel like it's always been in me. It's in my blood. I mean, obviously from this beast right
Oh.
here. So, you know, um, yeah, but definitely prep was great, with you having you there, and I feel like it really gave me something to focus on, which was really beneficial and, keeping me out of trouble
Good
during
senior
high
year.
school, senior year. Yeah. Yeah, just having like a goal and something that I can like be proud of and something that I can control. Like I feel like the gym is a space where I feel like really powerful, you know?
Mhm.
And it's a place where, you can let out emotion and yeah, I don't know. It's just like a great space to be in. And so I feel like that's why prep was so like achievable. And um yeah, I don't know. Um,
It
there was
teaches you a
that for
lot about
sure.
yourself, for sure. You learn
Yeah.
a lot about yourself or who you are as a person when you're doing a
Hmm.
contest prep.
Right.
And
Yes.
it's humbling, but
Hmm.
it's a really cool experience.
For sure.
And I got to meet because I remember when Emily told me that you started working out. I remember she told me in her check-in that you started going to the gym with her. And it was like, I know I told her right then, it was like, I think it is the best thing, like as a
Hmm.
parent, to see your children choose something, like to make those life choices that you know is not like it's more than an aesthetic because it is going to teach them so much like discipline and so
Right.
much about themselves. It's such a cool thing. And I have goosebumps now talking about it because anytime a parent tells me
Mm,
that their kids are starting to train, it's just like, oh, it makes my heart so
yes.
happy to see you pass that on to generations. And I absolutely love it. And then I got to meet Asher. I got to meet you for the first time in real life
Hmm.
at the Arnold right after you turned 18,
Yeah.
which is super cool. And you were what then? I think probably about halfway through prep, maybe a little
Yeah,
bit
in
more than that.
February.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was
February.
I might have been, yeah, just
Oh
starting.
yeah, because remember we got all that meal prep, so you
Yeah.
were
And I
Yeah.
was still
started
like
soon.
really high. I remember I had like you had like no like sauce, but I had like this like mayo, whatever, like on mine. And I was like, yeah, I was still slamming the calories for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. And like I I think a lot of parents are this way. I wonder if you were this way, but like you don't want to force anything on your kids, and there's so often kids really want to do the opposite of what their parents do. So I think because I was a trainer and I didn't want the kids to feel like they had to, do exactly what I did and I grew up in a really, really healthy eating family and like pretty like crazy. Like on road trips we were eating carrot sticks. We did not we didn't have fruit leather. We had carrot sticks and celery. And so I think I didn't want to be quite as strict with the kids because I didn't want them I don't know, to go off to someone's house and get sick because they had sugar for the first time. So I just was like a little more like middle ground. I mean, obviously like really healthy in the house, but
Yeah.
when we went somewhere, we'd have, treats or whatever. And so I think like going back to what Asher said of like how the weight crept on is it's so easy to feed kids carbs because they love carbs and it's just so easy. Like I mean,
Lots
honestly,
of mac and cheese.
we had, I think there were a couple years that my kids, okay, it was organic Annie's, but I think they ate mac and cheese every dinner for like 2 years when they were little. I mean, of course, I gave them like very healthy other things during the day, but
Yeah.
like we had a good run of pasta.
Mhm.
And so I do think that that is sort of how it happened because he went from just like this barely eating kid to then growing and we didn't know if it was part of his syndrome because he was active but I also didn't want to like bring the hammer down and be like, all right, kids, we're going on a diet because I've seen what that does to kids. It just makes them, run the other direction. And so I didn't want to force anything. And so I wanted to go back to that because Asher really did find it for himself. He's like, I
Mhm.
want this. And then also like when you bring your kids, a lot of kids just find fitness on their own because they love soccer or, Ava, she did ballet her like from 5 years old all through high school. And, with Asher, we never told him that, oh, you're not able to do that. We just always let him try everything. And then he
Yeah.
gravitated towards swimming and some other things. But we were like, gosh, why he's an active kid, he's not sitting at home watching TV every afternoon. But it just shows the power of him actually understanding macros,
Mhm.
which he figured out with yeah, my coworker his freshman year versus me teaching him that. So
Mhm.
that was cool. And then he wanted to kind of figure out the science of it, own that. And then he figured out through me, but also I think through social media, like the power of lifting weights and gaining muscle and what that does to your physique. And he
Hmm.
totally like literally self-taught.
Yeah. And I think that's what like makes it sustainable is like when you find it for yourself and develop a love for it and make it your own, like that's when it becomes sustainable. Like,
Yeah.
getting to play your favorite music and like getting to like, you take like cool pump pics and you like feel like great. And that's
Yeah.
what like makes the longevity in it, I feel like, for sure. Oh, the dog's going up. But yeah, and like also like just kind of a side note, what's really cool is, when I started going to the gym, also just like overall quality of life increased so much. Like I used to like, back when I was overweight, I couldn't even bend down to tie my shoes. And then like as I lost the weight, I was able to reach down and tie my shoes. Like boom. Like there's so many like benefits that aren't just in the gym from like following a healthy lifestyle. I don't know. Yeah, it's
No, you're
Yeah,
crazy.
absolutely
it's
right.
amazing.
Yeah.
And I love your story, and Emily, I love the way that you tell that, because I do think I think so many parents do try to like kind of force things on their kids. And you and I are very similar in that, when Aubrey decided to compete, that was totally on her own. She told me when she was in high school, or like younger in high school, that she never wanted to have anything to do with bodybuilding. I said, that's fine. You do whatever you want to do. She played volleyball, she was a cheerleader, she was great at both of those things. And then it wasn't until we came out to Las Vegas and she's like, I think I'm going to do a competition. That'll
Nice.
happen.
Yeah,
That
I'll do
happens.
it.
Yep. But
Yeah.
I think it's so great because just like you said, there's so much more benefit from fitness and from nutrition than just the way that you look. And it's cool to have muscles and be shredded. Absolutely. Super
Right.
cool. Right? But there is
Yeah.
a lot more to it than that. And I
Right.
imagine, because I know like you, Asher, you had a very big month with, you did two competitions very close together. You did the OCB show here in Las Vegas, and then
Hmm.
you and your mom competing together in Boise, which I'm gonna have to show some of those pictures if you guys don't
Mhm.
mind, because
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially
for
like
sure.
you guys getting to be on stage together is just, it's so cool.
it was.
And
Hmm.
I know that I know you. I've got some pictures of Emily when you got on stage with him here in Las Vegas too, which is just amazing. Um, and then after the Boise show, you graduated high school like a week or two later.
A week later.
Yeah,
A
a week
week
Yeah.
later.
later,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is
So I'm
like,
like my tan on a little bit.
yes. But
It's
like
crazy.
I think that's so cool because when I look back on it, I'm like, I couldn't imagine going through a contest prep in high school. And
Hmm.
high school is so much different now than it was, 25 years ago, that I can't imagine like the social pressure of like what other kids are eating, or just like, just it's so amazing. And is that something that you experienced? Did you feel like your friend group was super supportive, or were they maybe trying to
Yeah.
tempt you a little bit?
Yeah, it was kind of like a lot of different things. I feel like um when I started contest prep, um it was kind of like I feel like people didn't really believe me and they didn't think I was gonna follow through with it completely. Um like there was like a lot of doubt and stuff, and all of my friends, and like since I live in a really small town, like everyone follows like my fitness account, so they'd like see the stuff, and like like my Instagram name is like Asher Shreds, so like in the hallway they'd be like, oh, is that Asher Shreds? And I'm like, yeah, yeah, that's me, like like
And then your teachers would say something about your water bottle because you had a gallon.
yes, I had at one point I had like a gallon and it was just like a tower, and like lots of like strange looks in the hallway for sure on that one, but I don't know. I kind of love it because it's like it's kind of my personality. Like
And
I
Asher is like a positive half glass full type of person.
Mhm.
And so I think like he you took it all in stride because he like he was saying he owned it and he wanted it. And well actually like prom, you got
Yeah.
ditched.
Yeah. I,
Actually, but he didn't
yeah.
mind. But you kind of got ditched because
Mm.
they knew that you didn't want to
Yeah,
do
but it was
anything.
like it was like I don't know.
Well,
Like
the
we'll we'll
girls
we'll
went off
get
on
we'll
their
get to that. But like we're talking beginning of prep here right now. We're at the beginning, yo. So okay, yeah, yeah. So anyway, a lot of people like didn't think I would do it. But yeah, so then as I kind of progressed through like the middle-ish part of prep, I feel like a lot of people would be like, "Oh, like, you're lame for like not eating this. Like, come on, like you can have a cookie, like you can have whatever." But like
on the
I don't know,
candy
like
in class
yeah,
being offered to you.
yeah. That was like late. That
Oh,
was like
okay,
end
sorry.
game
Sorry.
too. You're like,
Sorry.
you got to get the timeline here, yo. No. Um, but yeah, so kind of like people offering me stuff like that. But I was like committed all the way through. Like I, I'm not like trying to like brag or stuff, but like I think because I love every aspect of it so much, like I didn't want to deviate like at all from my plan. So I was very locked in and tight on it. But yeah, so then as I got kind of like towards the middle slash end of prep, a lot of people saw like what I had done, with my body in the process. And I'd get like two different types of people. I'd get like a lot of people who before, were like doubting me and stuff would like text me. They'd like DM me on Instagram and be like, hey, like, what, like, how'd you do it? Like, can you give me any advice? Or they're like, I want to buy this creatine. Like, is this brand good? Like stuff like that. And I'm like, like it was like really cool. But like in the back of my mind, I'm like, like you were like saying like I wasn't gonna do this, and now I'm like, all high and mighty, like, whatever. Um, but also like the notoriety and like recognition I also got for it was kind of crazy too. Like kids like I'd never talked to before would come up to me and be like, "Oh dude, like, that's so cool. Like when's the show?" Like stuff like this. And like I'd post like my meals like on my Instagram and stuff, and they'd see it, and like the next day at school they'd be like, hey, you gotta like send me that recipe. And I'm like, dude, it's literally just chicken and rice. Like what? Um, but no, yeah. So I get a lot of that, but then also like I feel like there are people that were like kind of like preying on my downfall too. Like I'd have
Like didn't think you'd make
like
it.
didn't think I'd make it, and like they'd be like, oh, like is that really like all you're eating for lunch? Or like um like stuff like that. And like I even had like teachers that would be like um like picking my brain about it. And I even had like an English teacher one day that like went around the class like offering a bowl of candy to kids when I was like a week out. And I was like, and she knew I was in like contest prep, and she was like, Azure, do you want a piece of candy? And I was like, oh no, like I'm all right. And then she was like, and then she actually like picked up a piece of candy from the bowl and like ate it in front of my face. And I was like, oh wow, like that's crazy. So like you get like two different types of people. um, yeah, and so like I feel like people approach it a lot differently because I think there's like feelings of jealousy, like even if they're not in the bodybuilding world, like
Hmm.
it's such a feat to complete that people notice and recognize that it takes like discipline and grit, that like either they're really proud of you or like,
And it's just the
envious,
day
I
after
feel.
day after day after day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think people are kind of amazed by.
Day after day, opening my meal prep in class and like eating it under the desk, like, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, people recognize it for sure. And then actually like at graduation, um I wore one of my medals from one of my shows, and like so many people came up to me and like were asking stuff about me, and like teachers that I had never even talked before were like, giving me fist bumps. And like because like also yeah, because we live in such a small town, like so many people saw that I competed, and like, because people were like sharing it and stuff, and I don't know, like it was super cool. I like felt kind of famous, but yeah, it's
You
crazy
deserve that.
the notoriety and like the way people respect it like that.
But it was a
Yeah.
grind to get there because
Oh
you
yeah,
had
all year.
a really long prep.
Yeah. Especially like senior year too, like all the celebratory stuff. And yeah, like at prom, when we went to prom dinner, I got like a side of broccoli, and everyone was like eating like prom dinner. And but like I don't know, I kind of became like known for it ish. Like people kind of started to like expect that of me, and like as I went on, I feel like there was like less of like the like, oh, like, are you seriously doing that? And then like,
They
it
believed
became
you.
like, yeah. Um, but then yeah, that too, like also having that goal and like having the routine of like, waking up, going to the gym, going to school, and going to the gym again, like
Hmm.
people like that was, yeah, like my routine. And so then, I wasn't tempted to like go out and like party and stuff like that, because I had my set plan for the day. And then people also like started to realize like, oh, like Asher like doesn't do that, like Asher goes to the gym, that's what he does. And so like on prom night, like after the dance, um, I was like with a group of friends and stuff, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna go back to one of our houses," and like instead of being like, like just like ditching me, like they were super cool about it. They were like, we're gonna drink. Like we know you're not into that. It's totally cool if you come or if you don't come, like you're invited or you're not, And so like I think definitely like finding people like that who like understand you and understand your ambitions and stuff is like
Yeah.
also super important, which I thought that was super cool. And like it's kind of cool to be known for like being
Being
like
healthy.
healthy. Yeah. And like known to like, yeah, like I don't know. I take pride in it like not being a party
Sounds like
animal and being a gym rat, not a party animal. Yeah.
the
Well,
but
I do love that your friends still want you to feel included because I feel
Right.
like that's not a lot of people act that way. And like we as
Mhm.
Mhm.
adults know that because like I know when I started competing, I felt very excluded because I was doing something different that people just stopped inviting me to do things. It's like, well, that's not what we want either. So even being a teenager to have that kind of experience where your friends are still that supportive, that's amazing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think it's also like I think social media too is like a huge aspect of it because also like while I was in prep, a couple of like my reels went like pretty viral. And I
Mm,
think people saw that too. And like in a way, I feel like they wanted to like then like be a part of it and like they kind of like wanted a piece of it in a way, like if that makes
yeah.
sense. Like they want to be associated with that. And I think like, it's like such a big part of our world. And so like people see that and it's like, ooh, like, I
so
can
I
like
so like just from my perspective, I feel like this is a good social media pressure story because we know that social media can like be so bad, but
right,
Mhm.
it's almost like this was good peer pressure because Asher saw what people were doing. He wanted to do it, and then he started putting himself out there,
right.
and it kind of like drove the machine, like it kind of like gave you energy.
Yeah, and it was
And
like also a great way to keep accountable, like
yeah,
posting
he kept
stuff.
posting about himself
Yeah.
versus like kind of just keeping it on the down low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like feeling
And that probably doesn't work for everybody, but it seemed to like really
work for me.
work for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like, yeah, like at the beginning, like I think I kind of hit the ground running. Like I started posting probably like a week after I started, lifting in the gym and like I started with like a private account and then like eventually like I made it public and went from there. So,
And then now, and of course now, everyone says this, but he's so glad he has all these before pictures because
yeah.
sometimes people don't have any before and they're like, darn it, I should have taken more pictures. So I have
Yeah.
some like
Right.
you can see the change, but
Yeah.
change was amazing.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's I've seen it. I watched all of your Instagram since ever since you got started into it. And it's really is a really incredible story.
Thank
And
you.
it's not done just yet because after
Heck
graduating,
no.
after what did you do after you graduated? Just because you've had a very busy summer. Both I know both of you have.
Yeah. So after I graduated, so it was the Vegas show and then a week and then the Muscle Classic and then a week and then graduation and then 2 weeks after that, um I so for the month of May I had taken off swimming because it was just like too much. I was too deep in
Hmm.
prep, just like, way too much with like workouts, cardio, managing it all. But yeah, after graduation, I jumped back in the pool for 2 weeks and then I went to the USA National Paraswimming Championships. And I had a swim meet there, which was it was kind of crazy. Like this was a crazy run. But yeah, and that was amazing, and I ended up getting second in one of my races, so podium placing, like being 2 weeks back in the water, which was just like miraculous. But yeah, so swimming and then yeah, and then jumping on to the, reverse dieting, healthy lean gain phase with
Hmm.
you. So, yeah.
Which I'm super excited for because
Hmm.
I feel like you're already eating so much. I mean, you move a lot, so it makes sense.
Hmm.
But
Mhm.
I'm super excited to see you grow and continue to thrive, especially because I know that you're also you leave for college next week.
Right.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yep.
So we're
Yeah.
not slowing down like at all, at all.
Right.
And
And it's
continuing to swim through college too.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's an interesting combo, I think, because being a swimmer and then also trying to keep building his body in case
Hmm.
he wants to compete again.
Right.
That seems like a
Yeah.
It's a different,
dichotomy.
it is a
Interesting.
different kind of challenge, but I
Right.
do, I do think that one benefits the other. Um, and that I've always credited swimming for my back development. Like the reason my shoulders, my traps, and my lats are so big is because I was a swimmer
Right.
until college as well. So I think that it is great things for your upper body for sure.
Hmm.
And it will likely mean that you never have to do cardio until you just start
Yeah.
another contest prep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just
Literally.
got to feed you enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. To
Yeah.
keep going.
For sure.
And I want to encourage parents out there because I remember backstage in Boise when I don't know if it was like Michael Hearn's wife or there was some like adult back there that was, or maybe it was like an expediter or something. But anyway, we were talking and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's your son." And oh, he's still in high school. Oh, that's amazing. My son just plays video games all day. And I was like, "Oh no, don't get me wrong. We had years of, oh my gosh, okay, how many
Yeah.
how many hours?"
Hours.
And we were, we had some constraints in the house, but like he really that's what he wanted to do. And then the switch flipped, but I want to encourage people out there because it's not like I don't know. I mean, everyone kind of has these phases in life, and sometimes kids, I think, maybe find fitness a lot later, like they find it in college
Hmm.
or even as an adult. um and you, like we said before, you can't force it. They have to find it, and they're all going to find it at a different age. But he came out of that because that was there were a few years, there was some years of
Right.
of video games, and that being
Yeah.
the priority.
Yeah.
I do think maybe one of the few positives about social media, like you had kind of alluded to, just the positive attention and the positive feedback that you get from it. But
Mhm.
also with kids seeing like there is so much, with some of these big bodybuilders and big athletes, that it has brought so much attention to fitness and nutrition
Hmm.
that I
Mhm.
think people at a younger age are taking more interest in being healthy. Whereas,
Yeah.
like
Right.
when I was in high school, people were taking interest in getting drunk in the park,
Yeah.
and it's
Right.
just it's a very different time, and I do think a lot of that is some of the some of the social media.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
For sure.
So all right, so I know I've taken up already an hour almost of your Friday evening, but if you guys don't mind, just I want to hear a little bit from both of you about what it was like to be able to be on stage together at Boise.
Hmm.
And yeah, I want to hear like how cool it was.
Hmm.
'Cause
Oh
just
my gosh.
Do you
yeah.
want to go first?
Okay, I'll go first because I actually, okay, so I do I'm thinking back, and we are both like pretty like just generally positive people. And going back, I wanted to share that that first prep that I did, I I was married but no kids yet. And I was grumpy. And I remember when my husband like would open a bag of chips and I'd be like, what does that sound? Like I was just I wasn't like, I mean, I was pretty like deprived and, just in that mindset. And then when I did my second show when the kids were toddlers, I was like, okay, I have two little kids in the house. No one's holding a gun to my head to do this show. I want to do this. So I had a completely different mindset from the second show on because I'm like, no, actually, I really love this. So
Mhm.
even though, yeah, it's a bummer that I can't have chips and I can't have, ice cream after dinner, I really want to do this. I want to be in prep. I want to be on stage. So I had like a completely different mindset. And then doing it with someone else in the house, and let alone your child, I just feel like we kept like pretty like like we helped each other be positive, and we joked about a lot of things, and even when things were hard, we just like had this like healthy banter back and forth.
Mhm.
And it actually, dare I say, made it a little bit easier.
Oh.
And then we were sort of watching each other, and we had different plans and different macros, but it just kept, I don't know, it kept some like good energy.
Mhm.
But in Las Vegas, okay, so he did that show as a prep for the NPC show. It was the first time. Okay, so I walked him to the backstage, and oh my gosh, this is gonna make me cry. Okay,
Mhm.
and I'm not really a crier. This is the cool thing is he walked, and then I said, okay, I'll see you out there. And I turned around and I just started crying. And I was like,
Mhm.
I surprised myself, but I had so much emotion. And the reason is, I think it's the reason why I was crying is it was at that moment where I realized how much work he had done. And even though I'm in the house, I certainly helped him with prep because, I'm in the kitchen too and all that. But I was like, oh my gosh, he did all the work from day one to now. He did it himself. And I was just like so massively proud of him. And I just had like all this emotion. And and I could tell how excited and happy he was. And it was just like the best moment. And so then he competed, and then he had like a pretty hard week because he was still back in peak
Peak
week
week.
again.
Mhm.
But then it was like I was so glad that he had that first show to do on his own, because then when we were on stage together, he had already gone through the paces one time, so he kind of knew what he was doing. And we had so much fun backstage. We were like, we like joke around about a lot of stuff, which is so helpful. And we just like, I don't know, we're just like two buddies. And I don't know, just being proud of you is probably the biggest emotion that I had. And then actually being able to be on stage and pose together was just like, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. I mean, I'm still looking back, I'm like, was that a movie I watched? I mean, I can't believe it happened.
Yeah.
Not just pose together, but like you guys had to pose down on stage, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Mike O'Hearn interviewed us.
Mhm.
Oh, yes.
So that was special because I think it's pretty rare to have a mother-son combo up on stage.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, super
Absolutely.
fun.
It was so awesome. Um, yeah,
How'd you feel?
so my turn. Yeah, so definitely I totally agree with you with like, I mean, obviously this is my first prep, but having like my mom there who's like experienced in it was like such an incredible, resource to have, I feel like during prep for sure. And also like I remember one day we were in the gym and you came up to me and you're like, "Do you kind of feel like we're competing?" And I'm like competing against each other, like kind of like, like friendly rivals. And I was like, at first I was like, no, like I don't feel that way. But then like slowly, like I started to realize like we'd come home and we'd be like, oh, like how many meals do you have left? Or like, like oh, like I already did all my cardio, like you still have some left, like just like feeding off each other and like, having someone in the trenches with you,
Yes.
I
Mhm.
feel like is so incredible. And like it being your mom too, like I feel like is just kind of a crazy dynamic. And, getting to ask her questions and stuff like that was crazy helpful. Um, but yeah, just like kind of for some context for the first show, the Vegas show,
Mhm.
when we were kind of like deciding that that was going to be my kind of introduction show, like it's a smaller show, it's a natural OCB federation. When we were registering for that and looking at all the information, when we saw the flyer, we realized that it had a like physically challenged division. And so that was like something that was super cool. And so along with like the debut, the teen, like I wanted to do as many classes as I could. We also got to add in that physically challenged division, which was like, I don't know. It was super special and it was super cool that they had that and did that. Um but yeah, so for the first show, it was awesome because like I feel like because you weren't in it, like like you're like
I was
my
more,
groupie.
yeah.
Yeah. Like you're
I was
like
more coachy.
yeah,
I was a
you're
groupie too at your first show. So
Yes,
yeah.
we were there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Yeah.
so much help from you too.
Oh my
That
gosh.
was crazy. But yeah, I don't know. It was like amazing and like I feel like I have like so many like core like great memories from that for sure. Like, and like going down like the drive down, I feel like I had like doubt. Like I was like, I don't even like feel like a bodybuilder. Like I feel like, like am I ready for this? Like blah blah blah. And like we went and like you were reassuring me and you were like right there with me and it was I don't know. It was just like it was perfect and like getting like my first like tan and stuff and like it was like I don't know. It was like I loved every second of it, like beginning to end and like being in the hotel room and like setting up all your food like for the day to come. You have like everything's like a mess. You have like your eggs here, your rice cakes here, like whatever. Like
Spicy.
I don't know. I just like I loved every second of it and like taking those like check-in photos, like, like you just like look just shredded and insane. Um,
Well,
but yeah.
and it is magical because you do feel like you doubt yourself and you kind of feel weak in that peak week.
Hmm.
mhm.
And then you're like, there's those moments where you're like, I don't even look like a bodybuilder,
Yeah.
and then you wake up that morning and then you're like, hello, you look in the mirror and you're
Right.
like, okay, maybe I am ready.
Yeah.
Asher had that moment, like the sunlight when you open
Oh,
the
I did.
curtain and you're
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I have abs.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah. I can't remember. What was it? It was the morning of the show yeah, the morning of the show I woke up and I think you went to like go get coffee or something.
Mhm.
And like this is like probably like one of like my favorite memories ever. But yeah, like having like waking up and like taking the covers off and you just like crazy like dialed. I remember like waking up and I texted like my mom and my coach and I was like, it feels like Christmas morning. Like
Yes, right.
it was like literally like this like same feel and um yeah, it's just like it's the most amazing feeling ever. Um but yeah, like having you there was like crazy and like having you at my side was amazing. But um I remember like a lot of people like asked me like if I was ever nervous for the show, and it being my first show. And I don't know if it was like I think it was like based off of name or no, based off of number. Because like my number was 26, I think, for that first show. And because that was my or maybe it was like 48 or 26, I don't know.
It was
Because of
26.
that, yeah, I don't know what the number was, but something was to the fact that in all of my categories, I was always the first to go on stage. And so, like, from the first category, like, like that I ever did, like, when I walked on stage, like, I immediately, like, there was no feeling of fear. Like, the second I got on the stage, I was smiling.
Yeah, you
And,
loved
like, I
it.
was smiling so hard that, like, my tan had, like, lines from, like, my smile on my face. Because I don't know, I just, like, I loved every second of it. Like, like, adrenaline, like, everything. And
Came together.
like, yeah, no fear at all, just big smiles and yeah, walking on stage and having you cheering. And then yeah, for that physically challenged division, they let you come up on stage, and
Yeah, that was
that was
fun.
like the
That
first
was
taste of
very
that, and
cool.
that was like amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, but then competing with you in Boise, that was like super awesome too, because like then like in Boise, like we both had our tans on, like we were going through it together, which was um a
Yeah.
whole like different experience. I feel like, like being backstage, like
Mhm.
pumping each other up and um, being like, okay, like I'll go on and like you watch me and then
Yeah.
like I'll watch you
Yeah.
and then like telling each other like like watching each other and then like reporting back, being like, oh, like your back was like a lot crazier than like hers, or like, like your legs were like more awesome than his. Like, I don't know. It was like having
Yeah,
like a
help each
pump up
other.
buddy in the back.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, getting to pose down on stage, that was like awesome too.
And I love that Asher, like, I mean, every competitor is probably kind of different with their mindset of like who they're competing against. But I feel like Asher really went into this. He was competing against himself.
Right.
And, because you never know who's going to show up.
Mhm.
And I'm the same way where I just want to beat myself from last time. And I mean, of course, we want to win, but
Right.
sometimes, especially like an 18-year-old going into an NPC show because that one was 18 to 23-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
And also they have full-length arms, his anatomy looks a little different, but he never like let that get in the way of
Yeah.
um because you were like, I'm gonna build my body, I'm gonna build the Asher Knowles body.
Right.
And so there wasn't a moment, because I'm sure people wonder that. They're like, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, you're gonna go out on the stage with these like full-grown men that are like
Right.
23 years old. They've like,
Yeah.
they've had a lot of years in the gym.
Yeah.
And but Ashley just ate it up, just loved every
Mhm.
second of it. It was just like, and that's how people should be. They should be like, I'm the best, whether they get sixth place or 16th, or just like and you totally had that attitude. It was
Yeah.
super awesome.
And I think that's like such a blessing too, is because yeah, like I had that mentality from the first show to the second show that like I want to be the last week's Asher, like that's all I'm here to do. And that's also like what I love about bodybuilding is that when you step on that stage, like sure, like your posing like dictates stuff, like how well you pose and stuff, which, I took a lot of like practice into my posing because like, I don't know, it's something I love to pose. Like it's something, I'm always posing, but no, but like I love to do that. But then also like what I love about it is like you've worked so hard and for so long that I feel like the show is like it's the reward. Like, like that's like you've done everything you can up to that point, and like now it's time to like,
Yeah.
go out and go have fun, and like
Mhm.
it's so rewarding. And like also I feel like I've never like compared myself to others. Like even
Hmm.
from the beginning, like, like a lot of people have negative effects, like going back to social media of like, comparing themselves to others online. But I feel like for me, like when I see someone that looks awesome online, like that just like invigorates me like more, I feel
To
like,
try to go after that.
and like I think it's also because growing up and like having my condition, like I realized that I'm not, the same as everyone else. And so like, the Asher physique is gonna be something different, and like make that your strength, like make being unique your strength, and like that's what's gonna make me stand out, and like paving, getting to make this path, trailblaze it by myself, I feel like is like something I take pride in. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
You know, we can't not say what we have to say, and you can't cut this out of this interview. Is the most important part is you. And
yes.
I have had one, two, three, four coaches before you. Four, maybe five, four at least. Um, and you, so hopefully no one else is listening. No, none of my old coaches, because I did love my old coaches for certain reasons, but you have been the most amazing coach. So expert, so dialed, so like so to the point where I have never like had a moment where I'm like, oh my gosh, where's my coach? Or why is it like I have a question that I'm so confused. Like you, like I wish I had the words to describe like how perfect you are as a bodybuilding coach. Like you're so phenomenal on it. And I talk about it all the time, how we are just so lucky we found you. Like no joke. Like you are perfect. And so we have to share that the moment that you really helped Asher when we went to the Arnold. So for Asher's 18th, Asher turned 18 in February. And so for his 18th birthday slash, senior year trip,
Mhm.
I took him to the Arnold. And that was partly because of you, because I didn't really know a lot about the Arnold. And I asked you, I was like, okay, well, so if I was going to take someone to the Olympia or the Arnold, you're like, oh, Arnold all day. And so I took him, and it was amazing because, the expo and all the
So
hype.
that's
And you
great.
were there with Courtney, and Asher was still like, he was still kind of bulked up.
Right.
And I don't think he was feeling like super confident.
Mm-mm.
But well, okay, now I'm going to let you talk because there was some magic that happened because of you.
Yeah. I don't know, like it was crazy, like, you know, getting to meet you in person was so amazing. And yeah, so definitely I at that time I wasn't like very confident at all, I feel like, and didn't feel like a bodybuilder or whatever. And you offered to help me with my posing, which was the first ever like posing I had, you know, ever gotten. And so I think like, we did it in the like
Yeah, it was kind of funny because remember we went down in the basement
Yeah.
yeah.
hotel gym. There was some guy working out in there.
Yeah.
Asher just drops his pants because he's like, I
Yeah.
guess this is what I do.
Yeah, and I was like, I got in my underwear and I was like, am I sure like this is okay?
We're like,
And
we're
like,
doing
yeah,
it.
you were like, I think you said you were like, people are here to watch like a bodybuilding show.
Yeah.
Like
We're
like
at a
this is
bodybuilding show. It's fine.
very
Yes.
normal.
You
Yeah,
were
it's
very,
fine.
very reassuring. Yeah, that was awesome.
Um,
No,
yeah.
so great.
And then I think like you're like, all right, show me your front relax. And I was like, what's that?
That's it.
So we really started from the beginning, but I think
That was super helpful. And then what about the moment when we were in Las Vegas, and there were like these touch points where you helped Asher, like, remember, like you,
yeah, it was like the boost of like reassurance
yeah,
and wisdom that I needed. And um
and the pose
yeah,
in Las Vegas.
in
Remember how good you felt? Remember
oh yeah, that was Las Vegas, that wasn't Boise, right? Yeah.
right. Hmm.
So yeah, first of all, like from the first posing session, like your calmness and like demeanor was like just like so amazing. And like just like the way that you addressed me when I was feeling like back then, like at the Arnold, when I was feeling like so not like a bodybuilder, like you you made me like totally feel like a bodybuilder. Like you were so like intent like with how you were teaching me my posing, which like was something I like feel like I had never felt before.
Hmm.
And like so like everything that I learned that day, like I held on to like all the way through prep to the very end. And
Yeah.
then in Las Vegas, we did a posing session with you like the day before I was about to step on stage. And like doing that, and then like I think like while I was posing, like you said to me, you were like, you've been working like really hard on this, like, since the Arnold. And then like I don't know, that like I remember like so distinctly, and that gave me like such like a huge again, confidence boost that I needed. Like I hadn't
Yeah.
had someone telling me like, oh, like, like your posing looks great. They're like, you're not like, it was a compliment that I feel like gave me like what I needed. And
Yeah.
then
It was
like
like a turning point.
it was, and it was the turning point that got me out of feeling like, oh, I'm not a bodybuilder to like, oh, I'm so ready to do this.
Yeah.
And like that's I feel
Yeah. You
like,
really have a gift.
yeah, that's
Sam.
when that
You do.
Oh,
smile
thank you.
started from that night and then all the way to the morning through the show and
Yep.
boom. Like
And then you
it
were
was
so
crazy.
there for us. And yeah, it was just,
Yeah.
yeah, we are so grateful for you. I mean, you are gifted. You're gifted.
Hmm.
And
You guys are
we're lucky recipients.
Very lucky.
you were very sweet and didn't need to make me cry on my own call.
I know, right? Oh my gosh.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I love you guys and I love what I do so much and
Yeah.
it means the world to me that you can feel that.
Mhm.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feeling like no other for sure.
All right. Well, thank you.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
thank
thank you.
you.
It's
It's
like,
fun to
yeah,
relive it
getting to
again.
relive it again. Yeah.
So, maybe as like a as we're kind of closing out here, if you each want to give us just like one little nugget for anybody that's maybe struggling or someone that's looking for inspiration or motivation, if you could tell them one thing, what would you tell them?
Ooh,
Go first.
I gotta think. Like,
I think I know what mine is.
okay, then you go. I'll think.
It's so cliche, but it's taken me so long to like really like vividly understand this, but it's totally mindset because you see people do things that, well, again, like Asher, like was he even going to be able to write his own name with a pencil? And then here he is, of all things, being a bodybuilder. It was because of his mindset. It's because he wanted it enough. And with me continuing to compete, it's because I want to. It's
Right.
funny how like things that you don't really, things that are hard to do, it's because maybe you just haven't figured out if you want it enough or what your why is. And we hear these things all the time, but it is, people can do hard things if they want to. So I think
Absolutely.
when we're struggling with something, we just have to figure out what our why is. Again, it's kind of cliche, but it really works. Like figure out what the why is, why you're doing what you're doing, or why you're not doing what you should be doing, or whatever. But yeah, mindset for sure.
Yeah. I think like mine also has to go along with the mindset aspect of it. I feel like, in this day and age, and I feel like since the beginning, like you can either look at the gym as like a burden or as like a joy, Like, and I think until I started thinking about the gym as like something like fun I get to do, like, so yeah, it's like it's all mentality. Like, if you go in there with like a fixed mindset, like, oh, I have to go to the gym rather than I get to go to the gym, it's like you're gonna have two totally different experiences.
Yeah.
And like, there's people out like we're so lucky to have the bodies, the capable bodies that we have, and we're so lucky to have the resources to go to the gym.
Mhm.
So, it's like it's our obligation, I feel like, to go and hit the weights, for those who, can't hit the
Yeah.
weights. And so finding what works for you, like, yeah, again, getting to play your music, getting to, throw up a flex in the gym, whatever it takes to like personalize it and
Yeah.
make it fun
Yeah.
is what's gonna get you through it and what's gonna foster a love for it
Yeah.
for sure.
I love that. And I totally agree. Mindset is everything in everything that we do. And I'm so happy for both of you that bodybuilding has helped that flourish in you, I think.
Mhm.
Alrighty,
Yeah.
guys. Thank you, everybody, for paying attention. Emily, Asher, thank you so much for giving me your time on this Friday evening to tell your stories. I appreciate you. And we're all super excited to continue to watch your journey, both of you individually and together. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a good weekend, guys.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Bye.
Mm.